What if I told you that making your bed in the morning could be first step towards getting a more positive mindset? I've always been impressed by that. It's always been fascinating to me the impact that our physical environments can have on us. It's how you can just clean your room/house or make the smallest changes around it, like rearranging furniture, and that alone has the capacity to completely change the vibe it gives off, and therefore can also change the way we feel, which in the long run can lead to an actual effect on our mental health. I don't think everyone is aware of the strong relationship between what's on the outside, our environment, and what's on the inside, our mental health. Look at this picture of my room. It's a corner of my room, and look at all the clutter. And that's my dog. I don't know if you can see it. It's next to all the mess. And now look at this other picture that I took after cleaning. Even my dog looks happier. And it was also getting dark, so I lit a candle. It's right there on my desk. I don't know if you can see that as well. But it feels different, right? The vibes that you get from this are much better than the ones you get from this, right? To me, it feels like a completely different place. And not only that, but it also changes my mood completely. Just by looking at this, I feel more productive. I feel more motivated to do productive stuff. So I think we should talk more about this. And the slides aren't moving, okay. I don't think people talk about this enough. I think we should talk more about the fact that some days, just by making your bed in the morning, you feel more motivated to do productive stuff for the rest of the day. Or like how a clean room makes you feel more energetic or lively. And in my opinion, we should be talking more about this. I've always loved clean, aesthetically pleasing environments and places that are nicely decorated. But in the last couple of years, I've been becoming more and more aware of the fact that the environments we're in have an actual direct effect on our mental health. And this is why I want to talk about this to you. So we're going to do a little experiment. Look at this sage. How does it make you feel? To you, does it look like a place that inspires connection? Does looking at it motivate you in any way or make you feel happier? I mean, it looks good, but in my opinion, there are things that could be done to make it look even better and make it feel better to, like, just to be in here. Like, for instance, we could bring in a couch. And we could also decorate it. We could also bring in a stool. And we could have some nice pillows and a blanket. And we could also bring in plants, I was telling you. Did you know that there's scientific evidence that suggests that having indoor plants can actually improve people's overall health? I would also like to fix the lighting a little bit, if we can. There we go. Now it feels more relaxing to be in here, right? Because insufficient levels of light, whether it be natural or artificial, can catalyze stress and anxiety. So the amount of light that we have in our everyday environments, or the way light is placed in our everyday environments, is a really important factor. So now, Doesn't it feel better to be in here? Doesn't it look a little better? I can guarantee that minimal changes you make to the places you spend most of your time in will make a difference. I also want to mention how this whole thing could possibly be related to why lockdown was so hard on many people's mental health, aside from many other things, of course. But when COVID-19 hit us, everything changed, and we had to stay home for a really long time. Now let me give you some stats about that. According to a research paper, reported symptoms of depression and suicidal thoughts almost quadrupled from 2019 to June 2020 in the United States. Cases of mental illnesses, panic disorders, and just difficulty managing life in general considerably increased by the time of lockdowns. And I'm aware that there are many other factors that contributed to all of this, but I'm also pretty sure that staying in the same place for so long without being able to go out and actually change the environments we're in had a big role in the decline of people's mental health. And not everyone was motivated to transform the environments they were spending so much time in. Many people couldn't even get up in the morning, and I get it, honestly. But just imagine what could have been the effect on the mental health of the world's population if every individual had taken the time to alter their homes to feel better in them. I think some of these stats could have been a little different. And maybe some of you don't believe me about all of this, but there's actual scientific evidence that supports what I'm saying. So, environmental psychologist Roger Ulrich has done a study related to this. He wanted to compare how quickly patients that had gone through gallbladder surgery healed. So some patients were put in rooms that had windows that looked out, that had like a view of nature and trees, and it was beautiful. And others were put in rooms that had windows that looked out on a brick wall. So let's imagine we're those patients. Look at this, let's call it view number 1. And this is view number 2. Now, which of you, I want you to raise your hands, which of you like view number 1 better? Exactly, so I'm not even gonna ask that about that view number 2. But it's not only liking it better, it's the fact that the patients that were put in rooms that had the beautiful view of nature actually healed faster than the ones that were put in rooms that had windows that looked out on a brick wall. So that's impressive. That's impressive. Even our bodies are impacted by the environments around us, even when we're not directly paying attention to them. So I think that's really interesting. There's another thing I want to talk about. I want to talk about something called feng shui. It's an ancient Chinese concept. And I think it's something everyone should try to do at least once. The main concept comes from an ancient Chinese poem that talks about human life being connected to and flowing with the environment that's around it. The objective is to attract energy forces and be able to establish harmony between an individual and their environment. And feng shui is about arranging the pieces in living spaces so that they can be more connected to the natural world. Even its name says it's centered around nature, because feng means wind and shui means water. So basically, to apply feng shui to your home is to make it an environment that gives you peace and makes you genuinely happy. Like, for instance, look at this living room. It looks pretty, Yes, it looks pretty, but it's also a great example of what feng shui is. So the natural elements that are on it, like the plants and the perfect amount of natural light, all of it combined with the furniture and the rug and the wooden floor, honestly, this room feels like a breath of fresh air. And that's what feng shui is about. It just makes you feel better to be in an environment like this. Now, what would your ideal environment be like? What would the ideal bedroom, the ideal classroom, the ideal office look like? Would you hang posters on the wall to remind you of your favorite artists or movies to motivate you? Would you have plants? Would you have flowers? What do you want it to smell like? Scented candles. Scented candles are particularly special to me. I have many of those in my room. They genuinely give me peace. And it's all about what you like. What would you like to have in your ideal environments? Take a minute to think about that, and then consider transforming your environments. Lately, I've been trying to focus more on the little details that make life worth living. Because you can't live every day waiting for something big to happen in your life to start being happy. I feel like happiness comes in smaller waves. It's in the little things and little moments, but we tend to not even focus on, or like not even notice the little things and little moments because we concentrate on the greater things we want to achieve. But I feel like everyone should try to focus on smaller details that are on our everyday lives. And I feel like it's a choice that you make to try to enjoy every day. And these things, these things start with you. Like adding a small plant to your office, or just painting that dark room with a lighter tone, or opening the windows for fresh air, or just simply making your bed. It will make you feel better, I promise, because the environments have that effect on our emotional well-being. It's no lie, we're currently living through a crisis regarding mental health, but that's exactly the reason we're desperate for change. We must find solutions to heal, and as I'm telling you, it all starts with the smallest things that make the biggest differences. Thank you.